Hello friends, welcome back. So in the last video, we have already seen how to build a simple quiz application in our Android app. But now in this video, we want to upgrade that project. That project was only a simple static data. Now in this project, we will be integrating a database with the help of Room library, and we'll be also giving an architecture, MVVM architecture to this project. So this will be an extension and upgrading video in continuation for the last video. So before continuing this video, I would request you to watch the previous video where you will find the link in the description, or if you just want to continue with this video, then feel free to directly clone the project from the link which is given below, and you can continue with this tutorial as well. This video might be a little bit lengthy, but believe me, if you stay till the end and watch the full video, you will definitely have a solid understanding about how to create such a production layer application with the different integrations like Room and MVVM pattern. So make sure you watch till the end to get the full idea. And for now, let's jump to Android Studio and see. So here we are in Android Studio, and we are continuing with the last project. So this is the last quiz application we have already built, and we already know how it looks. So in this video, without wasting any time, we'll start implementing upgrading this project. So before upgrading, we need to add a few dependencies for the Room. So just open your build model level build.gradle app level, and then you just need to add these dependencies. This is the Room version. This is for the Room. This is for the Room dependencies. And this all three for the Room dependencies, and this is the KSP variant. We'll be using a KSP, and this is for the core routine support. This dependency specifically. So I'll give you all all this dependency in a description and where to put them. So, and as a dependency, we also have to use a JSON to convert the data from the JSON to JSON to string. So JSON is a popular Google's library that we'll be going to use. So I have added this implementation with the new style. So with the new style, I have also added this alias in the plugins as well. And as we have just declared here libs.json, so we have to give its full form in this libs.version.toml file. So here I have added a KSP and a JSON. This is basically a versions, and as this is a library, so this is the full group name of this library, com.google.code.json, and here name is a JSON, and here is a version reference, and here we have a KSP. So in the KSP, as we have added the KSP as a plugin here, you can see in a plugin section. So that's why here we will be adding KSP specifications in the plugins block itself in the libs file. Okay, so don't get worried about this one. I'll give you these things in a description. Now here in the gradle.properties, we need to add this Android disallow kotlin source sets equal to false, because it is not a fully stable yet, and we are using a gradle 9.2. That's why we need to add this one. So because it comes with a inbuilt kotlin support, but we don't want to use that because not all of the dependencies, all of the libraries are migrated to the inbuilt kotlin, and for the Room we need to disallow this. That's why I need to add this line currently. When the new upgrade will be available, then we might not need this one. Okay, so that's it. No other changes. Yeah, that's the only thing we need to do. Now let me close all the tabs here. Yes, and now we are good to go. So these two files we have already developed in the last video itself, and in the main activity. So now main activity is handling everything, the UI, the business logic, the data source is also defined here itself. This is the data source. Everything is handled in the main activity file, but it is not a good practice, and it should not be the case in any application, whether regardless of its size. That's why we want to implement an MVVM pattern here. So first of all, we'll focus on the Room. So we already added the Room library dependency, and in the question model, we already know that if we want to create a database, we also have to create a table in that, and for creating a table we can use such a data class here. So in this data class we will be annotating this with an entity. I'll not be able to explain everything about the room in this video. If you have this video, assume that you have a prior understanding of the room. If not, then feel free to check out my other video on the channel regarding the room library and migration as well are explained in another video. So here we'll give a table name equal to questions. Yes, and here as we have a table, it is good to have a primary key. It will be a nullable because we want it to be auto generated by the room, and we'll annotate it with a primary key. Auto generate, sorry, auto generate equal to true. Okay, so that's it about our data class, our entity. Now our table is ready. Let me close this one. After that, we need to create a data access object, that is DAO. It will be an interface. I'll create quiz DAO. Okay, and I'll first annotate it with an annotation DAO. This already comes from a room, you can see. And here I'll be declaring all the methods which will be I needed for this quiz app. So currently I need only two methods. First to insert the questions and then get all the questions. So we already have the sample questions here. So what we're going to do, we first insert all this. As soon as the application has been started, we'll put all this question data in our database, in our room database, and then we are going to extract that data from there, and then we will be showing to the user. So for that I need a function that it should be a suspend function insert questions, and it will be a questions, and it will be a list of question model. Okay, I'll just annotate this with an observed, so that if any duplicate entries comes, it will be automatically updated. And now I have to get all the questions. One, get all questions from DB. But here we will not be accepting anything. Instead, we will be returning it a list of questions. That is a question model. But here, instead of just writing a list, it is better to use a flow here, because flow makes your update so much easy. It will be a state flow, and that's why we'll be using a flow from output of the room library itself. And as we are using a flow, we don't need to include a suspend function. Suspend keyword here, it will be automatically handled by the flow. And here we annotate it with a query, and we'll write a query, simple query, select star from questions. That's it. So yeah, that's it about our DAO, that is data access object. Let me close this one. Now we need a, what we need, database. Yes, let me name it as a quiz database. I'll annotate it with a database, and here in the database it asks for a entities. Entities means a table, so we have only one, that is a question model double colon class. And here we need to provide a version will be 1. So this class will inherit from a room database. This will extend room database, and we don't want to provide implementation for the abstract methods defined here. That will be provided by this annotation. So we want to make this class as an abstract. Also we want to make one abstract method here, function here, abstract fun with DAO, data access object, and it will return a quiz DAO. Okay, that's it. And it is also abstract. We don't need to provide an implementation for this one. That's it for the room database, quiz database. And yes, so one is a catch here, one can be a problem for us. So room database can automatically work according to annotations. So if we have observed here, it can automatically perform insert and update operations. It can, if we have delete annotation, it can do the same, but it can do these things easily if there are any primitive types in a database, like an integer, character, float, double, long. If we have this, then it automatically takes care of this one. But if we have something like this list, then it room doesn't know how to store this list of data in a single cell. So we need to provide a provide a converters for that one, because we need to convert the data and store in that, and then retrieve it. These converters we also needed when we are going to deal with the timestamps. Basically, we need to save a time in one data in one cell, and then on the retrieval we want it to be in the original format. And here it is just like a similar case, because we want to save a list in a simple cell. So what we'll be doing, we'll be providing a converter for this one. We'll be converting this list to a simple string array, and that string will be stored in a one cell. And after when we need to retrieve that, then this JSON string will be retrieved, and it will be converted by our logic, and it will be converted to this list of question model, and will be passed on to execute the business logic further. So let's create a separate table for separate class for this one. Let's name it as a converters. Yeah. Now we'll need a JSON for this one, as we will be using a JSON library, and we will be converting the things into JSON to and from JSON. Let's make it as private var JSON equal to JSON, and we need a two function. First, for converting that JSON string to the value, and vice versa. So let's make a function from JSON from JSON string to the list. So here, of course, we will be taking the output as a JSON string, and it will be a simple string. It will give us an output of the question model. And here is the second method, which does the reverse task of what this is doing, to JSON string. Okay, and here we'll have a value as a list of, sorry, we don't need a question model, we need a list of string. Okay, and here we'll be passing a string. So here, first one, this one is pretty much simple. Return JSON dot to JSON, and here we need a value. Yeah, that's it. The function is done. Here also we have function as a JSON dot from JSON, and we'll pass a value here. The second one is a list type. So second one, it asks for a type. So while processing all this one, there is something happens called it is a erasure, type erasure. So when doing all these things, Kotlin forgets to watch data. It saves the data. Okay, and while returning, it forgets in which format we need to convert back the data, and that's why we need to use some class of JSON library. Let me write the code, and then I'll be able to explain full. Well, list type list type equal to, it will be an anonymous inner object of class type token, and it will be a list of string. Okay, and we'll be initializing it here itself, and we'll be using a dot get type and a proper text syntax, that is a dot type. And now we'll pass this list type here. Okay, so let me now explain. Here we are using a JSON library. Okay, this is an instance of JSON. We want to return something from JSON. So the value we'll have is the string, is the JSON string. So this is a JSON string, and it second parameter it asks for the type of t. So this is a t for return and type of t. So in which format should I return this data? So that's why this is needed to the JSON, to the JSON library. But at the runtime, type erasure happens, and the Kotlin forgets about in which data type we need to provide this data, and that's why this JSON library itself provides us a type token. You can see here, client creates an empty anonymous subclass. Doing so embeds the type parameter in the anonymous class type hierarchy. We can reconstitute it at a runtime. Runtime despite erasure. So in order to get out of these things, they get out of this erasure, we are going to use this type, and we are going to put this list type as a second parameter here. So it will definitely help us to give us back data with the help of this string. If you hover on this one, you can see it is a type. Currently it is a type. At runtime it will definitely give us the data in this format. So that's about converters. And yes, to let the room library know we have a type converter, we need to annotate these functions with the type converter annotation. And in the same way, in the database class, we have, just like this database annotation, we also have to show these type converters here. So type converters double colon class. Yeah, that's it, because the database should also have an idea about the type converters. Okay, and the function name doesn't matter. You can give any function name to these two functions, that doesn't matters, because room basically finds for the pattern which value it is getting it is taking as an input, and which value it wants as an output. So it looks for a similar function with the type converter annotation, and will pick the relevant function. So the name doesn't matter here. So that's it. That's about the database. Now we have this database. Okay, we have all the things which are necessary for the DB. Now we want to initialize the database somewhere, and we want to create only one instance of the database which should be shared across all the applications. So we cannot declare it and use it in the main activity or a view model, because the main activity might be recreated. So that's why we can create a single instance here in the application class. So I'll be creating one class called as a quiz app, and I'll extend it from an application main. We can also use the tagger hilt here to create a singleton instance. I mean, to create a dependency injection and create only one instance. But to keep the thing simple, I'm not using it here. I'm just using an application class. So in the application class, we have a database here. By lazy, we will be using a lazy initialization mostly here. Room dot, just import this dot database builder. It asks for three things: context, class. So context it can be this. Class will be quiz database. Click on class.java, and third one is the name of database. So I'll name it as a quizdb.db. Okay, this extension is optional. Whether you give it extension or not, it doesn't matters. And here dot build, as this is a builder pattern, we need to call the build function on this one. So if you hover on this database, you will see that it has a quiz database. Now we have all the things ready for our room. Now it's time to create a repository. So repository is basically, it is just a middle layer between a view model and our actual room database. Because if the view model requires some data while processing its business logic, it will go to the repository, and repository will know from where to get the data. And if if we skip this repository, then there will be a tight coupling between the view model and the model layer, because view model wants a data, and it will ask go to directly a room library. It will directly interact with this interface, with this DO. And if it interacts directly with this one, then going forward in the next month, if you want to change this application, and if we want to use an integrated, we have an API and want to use a API data source here, then we need to make a changes of course here as well, but we also need to modify a logic in the view model as well, so that it should adapt to the whatever changes we had done here. So instead of doing that, view model will introduce a repository where view model will just call to the repository and get the important data from here without knowing from where the data is coming, and repository is the one who will know from where the actual data is coming. So in the going forward, if we have change the data source, then we only need to make the changes in the repository. View model will ask the data as usual, and repository will provide the data. So we have a different layer, UI layer and a model layer and a view model layer. So we need to make changes only at the data layer, that is a model layer. If the data source is changed, then we need to only make changes at the model layer and we don't need to touch a view model layer. That's why separation of concern is very much important. So let me create a new repository here, repository, and this repository, it is a simple class, there is no annotation here, it is a simple class. So here it will accept a private file is do is now, and here we'll have a same function as we have in the do, insert questions, and it will take questions, the list of question model, and we'll just return a call to the quiz dot insert question and ask these questions. Yeah, that's it. Another function is get all questions, and it will return a list of question model. Sorry, and for this also we will give it a call to quiz dot get all questions. Okay, we need to add a flow here. Okay, so that's it. That's the only purpose of the repository, nothing else, and we can close this as well. But we also need to pass this repository to the view model. So in order to pass it, we need to initialize it in the main activity. So where it so in order to but we also want to make only one instance of the repository, so we'll also initialize the repository as well in the application class as well, because the application class is the one which runs at the first while launching the application, and which holds all the references throughout its application lifecycle. So well, repository by lazy, so we'll just use this, we'll just return, sorry, repository, and we need to pass a database, sorry, do. So from where we can pass a do, oh sorry, we don't need to return, we have the database here, database dot do. Okay, so we have both of the things available here. We also had initialized the database, and we also are able to access the quiz from this database instance. Great. That's it about this application class, and before we forget, we need to add this in the manifest, because if we don't do this, then our application will crash. Okay, now it's time to create a view model. So let me right click on this one and create a view model here. Let's say it's a quiz view model. Yeah, it will inherit the view model. Yes, and yeah, this view model will need a reference to the repository, private file repository. Okay, but if the view model don't have any input parameter, then we can delegate the task to the Android to create the view model, because it knows. But if we have a parameterized view model, then we need to provide a builder factory for that one. because the room doesn't know how, because the OS doesn't know how to create a view model if with the parameters, how to initialize the parameters, that logic is unknown to the OS. That's why we need to create a factory. So let's right click and create a new class that is a with view model factory. And yeah, it will extend from a view model provider dot factory. Here we'll override one method, that's a create, and here we'll just return. Okay, here we'll take an input of parameter as repository. Yes, and we'll initialize a view model here, quiz view model, and we'll pass this repository to this, and we'll typecast it as a T. So we know, we are sure about this typecast, but it is still giving a warning unchecked cast. So what we can do, we can assign one condition. If model class, we get a model class here in the parameter, model class dot is assigned from quiz view model double colon class the class dot java. Okay, if it is the case, then only do this typecasting, else just throw the error illegal argument exception saying unknown view model class. That's it. So that's it about the factory. And now we are again coming to the view model. So view model has an init method where we can we can declare the things which should be happen as soon as the view model is initialized. So what we want to do at the initialization, before we jump into that, let's have a look at the main activity. So in the main activity, we had previously designed this one, but it has a lot of flaws because it is an activity. So when the device is rotated, activity is destroyed. We all know that from it is an Android basic, activity destroyed, so all these variables, these states will be reset to this previous one, because we are just using it in the portrait version. If we are rotate our device, all the states will be, activity will be recreated, and all will be initialized to its initial values. So that's not the case we want. That's why it is a great idea to, it is a production level idea to save all the states in the view model. So I'll just cut these states, and will declare this in the view model. But if I declare this in a view model as an individual, then I'll need to create a separate flow for this one and keep observing for these flows relevant value with the help of flows in the view model in the main activity. Instead of doing that, what I'll do, I'll club all these methods to a single data class called as a UI state. Here I'll put all the states here. So is result displayed, this is a boolean, and we can directly use it with the simple value as a false. Next, total score, we know it's an integer, so give it an integer, and we just need to initialize it as a 0. Third one is a score, that is a user score, it is an integer, and yet it is also initialized as 0. Next, these are not only the 3 states, we have a 3 more. These are here. Where did the, yeah, in the quiz screen we have this. So we need a questions here. So let me where questions equal to list of question model, and we are going to initialize it with an empty list so that it will be a not null. We can change all this to the file. Okay, and what we need again, current question index and selected option index. So current question index, it will be again an int equal to current question index will be also 0 at starting, and val selected option index. that will also be an integer, but if the option is not selected, then we will by default set it as a -1. So these are 6 states that we will be using on overall application. Let's optimize the imports, and yes, and now we'll expose this UI state with the help of flow so that it should be observed from a main activity and can be modified from within the view model according to our business logic. So let's say val UI state equal to mutable state flow of mutable state flow is a UI state. And yes, now we don't want it to be anyone to be set from outside, so we are using it as a private set. Okay, we need to be it is where, so that it should be able to we should be able to set it from the view model. We should be able to modify it. So yeah, that's it about the UI state. Now what we want to do, as soon as our view model has been initialized, we want to get this data, get this questions, get the sample data, insert it into our newly created database, and from the database itself then pick questions from one by one and show it to the user. So that's why I'll cut this function as well from here and paste it here. Get questions. Okay, and here we so that's why we need to do that. So from the repository, you can see a repository class. We have a flow here for the get all questions. So we'll observe this flow first with the repository instance, repository dot get all questions dot collect. As is a flow, we are able to collect this. So we get it as a questions, and if it is happening, then we need to is giving an error because it should be launched inside the coroutine. That's why, yeah, this is a coroutine view model scope, that is a coroutine. Now we have these things, and if these questions, the questions we are observing here from the repository, so at the first time when our app is launched, there are no questions in the database. So it will, if the questions is empty, so the questions will be empty, questions list will be empty. If it is empty, then we'll insert this. We'll call repository dot insert question and pass these questions. We'll call get questions. Okay, ideally it should not be here, it should be a part of model layer. We can also do that as well, but yeah, we are keeping it here itself for this, but it should go in a model layer. Okay, else if it is not the case, if the questions are already there, we don't want to perform this insert operation again and again. Instead we can just update the UI state. So we want to take the questions from here, from our database. These are the questions from database, and we want to update this UI state and assign these questions to his state in our UI state. So how we can do that? For UI, for that UI state dot update, and it is it dot copy, and if we copy, then we are gonna copy what we are gonna copy, questions equal to these questions. We will be copying these question parameters to with this new value which is coming from a database. So questions are updated. Also we want to update a total score because we are just giving a one score to every question. So basically questions dot science will be our total scores. Yeah, that's it now for the init block. After this all has been done, then we can start our other modifications. So let's now go to main activity and change the things which we have. First of all, we need to create a view model for this one. So in order to create a view model, file view model by lazy, we have this function ViewModel provider dot create. So this asks for two things. First one is a owner. Owner will be a this, and second one is a factory. Factory will be, we have already created this view model factory. So just name it is view model factory. But this needs a repository. So how to get a repository instance here? We have repository instance in our application class, that is a quiz app class. So how to get it here? We can get application context anywhere. So val app by lazy get application context. So we have this get application, and we are going to typecast it with a quiz app. That now we have this app instance, and we can just write app dot repository. If we control it on this one, our control has come to here. So we are using this reference from here and passing it to the factory, and factory will initialize the view model. We already know that factory is going to initialize this quiz view model by sending this repository instance. That's how these things are working. Now we have this view model instance. Again, we need to provide a quiz view model here. Quiz view model, we will clone class.java here. Okay, now if you hover on this one, you can see quiz view model. Okay, that's great. Now we have this view model, and now we can start refactoring our main activity. So we have this UI state here in the view model. In the quiz view model, we have this UI state here, and we have a flow of this UI state here. So instead of calling this flow again and again, we can just do it like this. Well, UI state by view model dot UI state dot collect as state with life cycle. So this is a life cycle aware function variant of a flow we are going to use, and that's how we are going to collect this state with the lifecycle aware component. So we can use this UI state everywhere now. Is result displayed? We have this in a UI state. So UI state dot is result displayed. Yes, you can see here in the UI state we have this is result displayed, and that's what we are going to access here. And we are also going to uh, pass this UI state to these respective functions so that modification upgradation becomes easier. Okay, the preview annotation soon will stop working because it is a parameterized function, and preview cannot work on parameterized function. So here we want to keep make some modifications. So questions list we will definitely get from a USD directly, so we don't need this one. Current question index we can get it with the help of, okay, we'll just keep a current question. So basically UI state dot questions UI state dot current question UI state dot current question index. We don't have this current question index. Let me see. Current questions index. Okay, current question index, right? And yeah, we are good with this one. Now we are calling this UI state variables. We also don't need the signature option index. Okay, now we have this current question, and these are automatically converted into the states which are we observing from the view model. Now we have a logic here. So this is the clickable for the option selector. So we are going to create, if we want to modify anything in the UI state like this one, we want to modify this select option index which is present in the UI state select option index, and if we want to modify this, then we should put a call to this view model, because view model, any modifications are allowed only inside the from the view model and not from anywhere else, because we have set it as a private set. Okay, so we'll create a new function ViewModel dot on option selected, and we'll pass this index. So I'll create a new function here. Here I have this index and I want to do this selected option index equal to index. I have to do this, but I cannot directly do this. In order to modify this, I have to do like this. URState dot update, again it dot copy, and then I can do this sixth option index equal to index. Yeah, that's it. Now again this is the same thing. I can just replace this with this function on option selected. Okay, and this is the selected, this is the condition check if selected option index equal to current index, and I can access a read state from here. So ustate dot select option index, and the error has been gone. Now we have a button with the next button, and we are going to move all this logic to the view model. So I just cut here from here and just write view model dot on next clicked. Click on alt enter, and here I will paste this all this logic. So in the selected object index, I just write val uh, selected option index equal to UIState dot value dot selected option index. So if we can also access this flow with the help of this dot value, and then the context inside the state, that is the selected option index. So we have this selected option index or current question. So how to get a current question? In order to get a current question, we have UIState dot value dot questions, and inside these questions we have this selected option index. No, sir, just give me this current, it was a current question. Okay, yeah. So current question, well, current question equal to UIState dot value dot questions. In the questions, for the current question we need a current index. So again UIState dot value dot current question index. Okay, now we have a current question, and yeah, it is making a sense. Now I have to upgrade the score, increment the score, so I can do it like this one. Again update UIState dot update, and here I want to update a score equal to it dot score plus 1. The score will be incremented. Now I have this logic current question index. So this, let's make it as a UIState dot value dot current question index, and then I have this questions list. So again UIState dot value dot questions or size. Then I can do, I have to do this two things. So again I'll copy this same snippet, paste it here, and I want to increment this current question index. So I'll ask current question index equal to 8 dot current question index plus 1. Okay, and a selected option index equal to -1. Selected option index equal to -1. Yeah, that's it. And at the last I want to do is result displayed. I want to change it. Let me copy again. Is result displayed equal to true. Okay, that's it. Now we have all this logic of the next clicked here, and UI is dumb. It doesn't know what it does, what the clicking happens. It all view model knows all the business logic. That's it. And here in the text, I'll just write UI state dot current question index and then UI state dot questions. Yeah. Uh, Other things remain the same. Let me clear this one as well. And in the result screen, yeah, we are at the last part. UI state dot score, again UI state dot total score. Yes, and then on click. What is this? And this is an attempt again question. Attempt again button. So here again I'll create a separate function. It is a restart quiz. Attempt again means restart, and I'll create a function here. I'll cut these two variables assignment from here and I'll move it inside this question. Is the display equal to false and score equal to 0? Now we already know we want to do the update. If we have such a case, then yes, core. So after user wishes to again restart the quiz, what should be done is result displayed should be false, score should be 0, selected option index should be -1, and current question index should be 0. Yeah, that's the thing we need. And UI is again a dumb. It only calls the function and doesn't know anything about it. So yeah, there are no many errors in our main activity finally, and we have refactored our main activity with all the new logic. Now there can be one edge case. You can run this application, but it will crash. Why? Because as soon as you will run, this view model will start running, and this view model, as before this view models comes here, this view part will be called, and in this we are asking for a question, and at the starting view model, the list won't have any question any, and thus it will be a null pointer exception because there will be nothing at the place 0 or 1 for this questions list. That's why it will crash. So we want to wait till the view model completes this insert operation. So for that, what we can do, we can take a check here. If UI state dot questions dot is empty, if it is empty, then you can, what you can do, you can display a circular progress indicator, and once it is done, then it will be automatically decoded because this is the state UI state, and it will, once it questions has been modified with the new values, then it will be trigger a recomposition here. Again this will check, okay, it is now not empty and is result displayed is false, then this will be executed. So that's how this all these things will work. I think we have already covered everything now, and yeah, we can test our application and an emulator. Now let me launch it and see wow, how our creation is working. Yes, our application is launching, and yes, it is working perfectly fine. So these are the same questions we have. Let's see a first success scenario. Random access memory. Third one is a basic information system and show result. Yes, we are passed, and let me attempt again and check if the failure case works fine. Yes, sorry, we have failed. So yeah, congratulations, you have built a great application with the help of this this room library and pattern. Yeah, one thing we can do is we have already this MVVM pattern integrated in our, because this is the view layer, this is the model layer, and this is a view model. But let me create a packages so that it will look nicely. It is a model package. In the model, everything we have, most of the things we have for the model. Everything which reads to the database goes into a model package. Yes, and let me create another for the view model. And this view model itself and its factory will go inside the view model. Yes, we can create a separate file for the separate package for the view or a UI and can put this main activity here. So we'll have a clean production ready project which have is model which have separation of concerns, which have this model. If we want to work on this model there, then we can just open this package and work on any of the file here. If you want to change the business logic of your application, you can expand this and change anything here in the view model or a view model factory. And if you want to just deal with the UI, then create a one package here with the just deal with the UI layer. That's how we are going to build. Now just also check how the questions are getting stored, because we are using a type converters here. So we have app inspection here. No process available. Let the application start and the process will show up. Yeah, you will be able to see a database here. Database inspector, we have questions table, and the questions table you can see we have these three questions here. We have this id, questions, options, and the correct answer index. Yeah, but you can see options how these are stored. So this is actually stored like this one. So this is a JSON string of the arrays, and this is how it is stored. And while storing, the list gets converted into such a JSON structure, it gets saved, and while retrieving, this JSON structure get if the process has done is a reverse process can be done, and this string is now converted into the list, and the list will be used by the application to view. So this is how we have upgraded that application with the MVVM pattern and integrated a room database in. Yeah, that's it about this tutorial. Now I believe you have a clear understanding about how all the things are working if you have followed all the video. If you have some doubts or queries or something is not working, then you can put your questions or query in the comments box below, and I will try my best to get back to you and resolve your query. Alternatively, you can also join a WhatsApp group of AshishMobileDev where other developers which are like-minded are there to ready to help each other. They may solve your concerns sooner, and I am also part of that group. You can also get a chance to reach to me directly and ask query from me as well. If you want private or personal coaching from me, then you can reach out to me via comments or via joining that WhatsApp group, and I will be definitely helping you with that. If you like this video, then please click on like, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified whenever a new video is published. We'll meet in the next tutorial with some another interesting topic. Till then, goodbye. Have a good day.